My son was accidentally served a kid's meal at my sister's wedding, so I quickly had it corrected to an adult meal, but my sister exploded with anger because it cost her more money with the catering and, as punishment, made everyone skip my son's birthday party because she's the bride and makes the rules. Posted by you/wedding whoopsie. Throwaway account to try to stay as anonymous as possible, though the incident is probably too specific. About a year ago, my 41F sister, 33F, sent out her save the dates. She was getting married less than a week before my son's 18th birthday. Since my family is all over the country, my son has never had a big birthday celebration. My sister was planning a post-wedding brunch the day after the ceremony/reception, and I asked if she would be okay with us doing something for my son in the afternoon, since family would already be gathered for her wedding. She loved the idea, and I ran it by my son and reminded him he could do something with his friends on his actual birthday. Both were happy with the idea. I even chose a venue away from the hotel we'd all be staying at so my sister wouldn't feel we were encroaching on her wedding. All good so far, no problems. 6 months ago, the invitations came, and I RSVP'd for me and my son. Ex-husband is not in the picture. Meal options were a beef dish or a fish dish. I RSVP'd for 2 beef dinners. Now on to the problem and where I'm being told I'm in the wrong. At the reception yesterday, my almost 18-year-old son was given a child's meal, chicken nuggets and steak fries. I told the server there was a mistake and that we had RSVP'd for the beef dish. The server took the plate and brought out a beef dinner 2 minutes later. For clarification, this wasn't a child-free wedding, and there were about 5 kids there, aged 4 to 9 or so. At the brunch today, my sister pretty much ignored me and was really cold when she did talk to me. As it was ending, I asked if she was still coming to my son's celebration since she seemed like she was mad at me. She pulled out a piece of paper and said, "Maybe I'll come once you pay this." The paper was an invoice she made up for $77.50 for an extra dinner. I was confused and asked her what it was about, and apparently my nearly 18-year-old son was supposed to get a child's meal and the caterer was charging my sister an additional $77.50, and that it was my fault they had to provide an additional meal. I told her that 1, I had RSVP'd and chosen the adult meal for him months ago, and 2, he's 17 years old, how would anyone think a meal of 4 chicken nuggets and a handful of fries would be enough for him? It became this big blow-up, and my sister turned it into people having to take sides. And surprise, my son's birthday party ended up being a disaster that almost no one attended because your sister is the bride and she makes the rules on her day. Even our mom skipped it because my sister was inconsolable. Everyone is telling me he should have just sucked it up and I could have taken him to McDonald's afterwards. I still think I'm being perfectly reasonable. Am I really this wrong about wedding etiquette? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. No, you didn't break etiquette. Your sister is insane. You RSVP'd for beef, he should have gotten beef. No one over the age of 11 eats kids' meals. Ops response. Thank you. I feel like once a child becomes a teenager, they graduate to the adult table/meal. Commenter 2. It's honestly very odd to me that they even allowed a children's meal selection for a 17-year-old. At my wedding, the kids' choice was 12 and under. Ops response. That's what I had figured. The kids' meal would have basically been starters for my son. Commenter 3. I think she wanted to hose your son's party. She either changed her mind about sharing any attention on her big weekend, even after her day after brunch was over, because the wedding day wasn't enough focus on her, or she was never okay with it to begin with. I would seriously call her out in a group chat with every family member present at her meltdown, and tell it like it is, that your sister completely lost it on you when she overrode your selected choice of 2 adult steak meals on your wedding RSVP and tried to serve a 17-year-old, nearly adult teenage young man a kid's meal. Why would she change that on her own, without even asking you, unless she was setting you up from the start, then came out yelling at you like a deranged harpy, waiving a bill for that meal, which was her mistake to begin with, and used her histrionics to get everyone to skip her own nephew's milestone birthday party that she agreed to several months prior. Tell her this was an extreme overreaction to an extra charge, if it's even true, especially as caterers bring extra food to cover for mistakes like this, that even though she overrode your choice, because what nearly adult teenage young man only eats a kid's meal, you would have happily paid for it anyway if she just asked, again, even though it wasn't your fault. Say that her attitude and reaction weren't the actions of a loving sister and aunt, and a newly married woman who should have happily been on cloud 9 after her wedding, and that even releasing post-wedding stress didn't give her the right to treat you badly and sabotage, yes, use that word, her own nephew's milestone birthday party by coercing everyone to skip it and stay with her. Here's where you can say you suspect she wasn't ready to let go of all the attention yet, which is petty, immature, and sad. Tell her and the other family members you're extremely disappointed that they hurt your son like this, because he paid the price for her undue rage and they're indulging her. There was nothing about one extra charge from her own decision to change your choice to warrant her becoming inconsolable and needing your entire family to abandon their grandson/nephew/cousin/other relation on the first chance he's had to celebrate his birthday with all of them, and a milestone one at that, and that they all owe him an apology. And because of their poor behavior just to indulge the happy bride, you yourself will be low contact with everyone for a while. If you feel up to it, you can even suggest you suspect good old sis did this on purpose because she didn't want to share attention around her wedding, and if that's how she felt, she should have said so when you asked about planning it. Say you wanted your son to have a chance to celebrate such an important milestone birthday with family, as he never gets a chance to celebrate his birthdays with them, and that you wanted to do it after all the wedding festivities, not to even try to detract from anything wedding related, but when it came time for her event to end and the party to move on, she didn't want to let go and ruined her own nephew's birthday. She'll deny it. Your family might say you shouldn't have planned it around her wedding. You can say she was enthusiastic when you asked and what in the world was wrong about having a party after everything was wrapped up with her weekend, for a special birthday for your son who never gets to celebrate with them. Some may say give her grace because she was emotional. Sorry, she was supposed to have just had the happiest day of her life, and she mistreated you and her own nephew and ruined his good time because she wanted more attention, and again she seemed to set this up from the start. Don't let her get away with this. Your whole family hurt your son because of her. Update 2 days later. I posted a few days ago, and I'm not sure if this sub allows for or welcomes updates, but here it is. It's not good. My post was about my sister ordering a children's meal for my 17-year-old son at her reception, then throwing a fit the next day and invoicing me to pay for his extra adult meal that he wasn't supposed to get. Thank you all for confirming it was correct that my son should have been given the adult meal we RSVP'd for. I found out it was all planned. Of course it was. After my sister agreed for my son to have his milestone 18th birthday celebrated the day after the wedding, since all family would already be there for the wedding, she decided she didn't want to share her weekend anymore. Yes, she got Friday for the rehearsal and rehearsal dinner, Saturday for the ceremony and reception, and apparently needed all of Sunday, too. Would the reasonable thing be to tell me she was no longer comfortable with my son's party? Yes, and I would have cancelled/postponed it. Would the reasonable thing be to manufacture some petty beef and turn everyone against me and my son, resulting in almost no one showing up? Apparently, yes to my sister, and yes to my mother as well. Because that makeshift invoice? I had another look at it after I posted. Printed on an inkjet printer that slightly bleeds red even on black and white. Just like my mother's old, faulty printer, which means she printed it before the wedding. It was actually my son who noticed and mentioned it looked like it came from my mom's crappy printer. I mean, did my sister really spend her wedding night creating an invoice? Of course it was already prepared. This was all planned. I called my mom and confronted her yesterday, and she just said, it was your sister's wedding. All the attention should have been on her, anyway. Her wedding was on Saturday, she doesn't own Sunday. So they humiliated my son so she could play princess for an extra day. Honestly, things have been bad in the past, but for the past 5 years I thought I was really making progress with my mom. Now, I'm questioning her role in my life more than ever. Even worse, my son no longer wants anything to do with either of them, and maybe that's for the best. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. This is absolutely wild. I guess I can see wanting all the attention on the couple the day of, but the fact that she saw celebrating her nephew the day after her wedding, with all her family around, as a burden taking attention away from her own pretty princess special weekend instead of being overjoyed to share a fun, happy milestone with him is so gross. Ops response. That's the thing that bothers me. At any point, she could have said, I thought about it some more, and I really want the attention of the weekend to be on me. I would have been annoyed but would have cancelled the birthday party. But to not say anything and cause this blow up is really out of this world. Commenter 2. Wow, your mom sounds rude and cold. Give yourself and your son some time apart from those family members. See how that feels for both you, your mom, and your sister. Ops response. She is. We had no relationship for a few years and tried again after group therapy. Looks like it didn't work. Commenter 3. Your son seems wise. It's never too late to learn from him. Ops response. Best advice ever.